Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and I feel a little bit emotional. Yeah, and for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to talk about the obstetric fistula and the stories in Somaliland. So obstetric fistula, as many other African countries, are still struggling. We are one of the countries that are struggling and to prevent and also to cure. So let's share with you this very sad story. Sado is 15 years old. She came from a rural area, which is in Ethiopia, and her parents are nomadic. She used to live with her parents to take care of the livestock, and she never been to school. At the age of 14, she got married and then got her first pregnancy. So at the end of pregnancy, she had a labor. And as usual, they called an old woman from the country, from the village. That's the usual in our country, to get an old woman from the village. And that old woman was with her for 2 days. The late evening of the second day, the head of the fetus came out, but the rest of the body is stacked on the pelvis, and she couldn't help. That's the time they decided that she needs help. They said, we should take her to Hargeisa. Hargeisa is the capital city of Somaliland, and which is 2 days away from them. But finally, they took her to Hargeisa. The dead body was removed. But soon after the delivery, she started to leak both urine and stool. So everybody is asking why this happened to this young girl. Sado's family are very poor. They are nomadic. They live in Somali huts. They walk days and weeks and even months to reach a place that they can get a grass and water. They are uneducated, so they don't know what to do. And at the same time, they are far from the health centers. They walk for 2 days to reach the health centers. Obstetric labor can occur anywhere. It can happen in Europe, or it happens in Europe, it happens in Africa. But what is matter is the intervention. The intervention, when it's late, that's the time the obstetric fistula usually happens. And in Somaliland, most of women, they deliver at homes. And unfortunately, the deliveries is conducted by untrained old women from the village. All what they do is just sit in front of the woman and wait when the baby comes. If the baby will still stays in the uterus, that's the time they decide, or the mother and the baby die at home. So if we go back a little bit background to obstetric fistula in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, there are around 2 million women who live with obstetric fistula. And WHO estimated like 50 to 100,000 new cases each year. That's a huge number. And in some parts of Africa, the incidence is 1 to 10 per 1,000 live births. And in Ethiopia, which is our neighbor, really we are close to Ethiopia, there's a 9,000 to 10,000 of new fistula cases in each year. And imagine, only 1,200 cases are treated. What about the rest of the cases? They live in their homes with a miserable life, and they are abandoned from social and the family lives. It happens in these ages, 15 to 23, but they present very late. they attend to healthy facilities very late. Because of they are separated from the social, so they don't have work, they don't have an income, they don't have transport, and they don't know where to go. So that's the issue that delays them. This picture is around 70 years old woman. She had fistula for more than 30 years. She got obstetric fistula during her childbearing age. And she lived because of she didn't know what to do. She was in a hut, separated from the rest of the family. The day that we discharged from the hospital, she was crying. This is a very young woman. She accidentally listened to news, a radio, and then she heard that there's a center that can be helped, and then she came. So obstetric fistula, as we know, it can be cured. Around 80 to 95% of vaginal fistula can be closed. But we should have a center or place that we can do. We don't need any fancy instruments, but basic instruments can be used, as well as training people. If we have people that we train, as well as a place that we can do the procedure, can be cured. So in Somaliland, this problem is a major problem. We tried to do something about it. So at the university hospital, started to send doctors, nurses, and midwives to Fistula Hospital in Addis to get a fistula training in 2002. So since that, the women are coming and getting help in the hospital. And our hospital had with many women, and they went back to their homes and back to their society and are happy and live with happy lives now. But still there are so many women who are under curtain that didn't get help. So the number of cases that are repaired, you can see the number is getting higher each year because of the people are getting aware that there's a help. They come since 2002. We are announcing through radios that they can get help. They need to come to health facilities. I think this is a little bit misunderstanding if you see in the top part, the perineal body and rectal sphincter tears. This is most of Somaliland women, they deliver at homes and conducted the delivery by non-professionals. So they usually got 4-degree perineal tears. And the presentation is almost the same. They have soft stool incontinence, but definition is different. It's not really it's not really a fistula, but the presentation is almost the same. They present the soft stool incontinence. So you have to do something about it. So, and they leave this problem for months, years, and years. So the number is increasing. They are coming regularly and getting help. We get help from doctors around the world. We would really like to thank Dr. Thomas and Dr. Laurie, Dr. Andy Norman. They come regularly. They help the patients. Not only the patients, they train the local doctors. Like myself, they train us because we don't have postgraduate programs. So now the work is doing by the local doctors. Most of the patients, they come from Somaliland, but you can see still we are getting patients from Somalia and from Ethiopia. If you see this map, Somaliland, Hargeisa is the capital city, and that's the place that they can get help. The next center that they can go is Addis, the Fistula Hospital in Addis. So usually patients from Somalia, they come to Hargeisa or they go to Addis. And most of the patients who are near to Somaliland that are Ethiopians, they come to Hargeisa. So as we know, obstetric fistula is preventable. It can be prevented. So there's programs that start in our country. UNFPA, which is funding, and any other university hospital are working together. And they establish a program they call community midwives, which is going on in another university hospital right now. And there's now over 103 midwives that are graduated. And each midwife receives an emergency kit, because when they go back to their community, they can use the emergency kit for the cases. So training midwives, they can detect the problem early, as well as they can refer if they need a further management. So every 2 years, there's a new batch of community midwives that we start to train. But the plan after 2014 should be yearly. There should be a new batch. So since this program becomes so popular, there are 2 new training schools that were opened in 2 regions of Somaliland. One is east and the other one is west, Gabile and Berber regions. And each unit has about 20 students. So what I believe is training midwives will reduce the number of obstetric fistula in Somaliland. And the goal is to train 1,000 midwives to distribute the entire country. Things for the future. We were thinking to have a specialist physiotherapist. These patients, they don't only have a hole in the bladder, but they have other problems in the brain because they have abandoned from the families. They have other problems in so many other in nerves. They can walk, they have foot drop. So they need physiotherapists. So we were thinking to have a specialized pelvic floor physiotherapist, and they present also overactive bladder. So they need so many activities. And as well as counseling that can help emotionally. And they are mostly nomadic. They can come back for follow-up. We are thinking about a way that we can monitor them in long term and see the success, our success. We would like to thank all these organizations who help us. And that's the end of my talk.
Thank you. Thank you. You make me proud. Thank you. Do we have time? No, I'm getting emotional. Come on, take over. Do we have time for questions? Yes.
One question.
What?
One question.
Yes.
I was thinking, is there a relationship between female genital mutilation and fistula?
You know, female genital mutilation is very common in our country, and there are 2 studies now done in our hospital. And so, yeah, the whole area is getting scattered down and become small, and if you understand, because old area is cutting down and then sutured back together. So it makes the labor longer because of the elasticity lost. So it takes time, and then long duration of labor can make the things more complicated. So that's another issue.